So I'm the type of person when it comes to any sort of anime. Yeah, I'm gonna love my fights. I'm gonna love episodes like last week where there was really solid character progression while being flashy as hell and just being eye candy. But you can give me an episode where people, these heroes, sit around, you could say the dinner table for them, and they are just discussing how messed up their lives are going to get, how messed up their opponent is, and how destroyed the lives of so many innocent people, including a little girl who is being tortured by her so-called father is, and that's going to be one of the most exhilarating things that I'm going to watch that week. This episode was really, really great, and I didn't take too much of a glance at what people were saying about the episode before I got up here to record. I did take a glance at a couple of social medias, and it does seem like a lot of people were kind of feeling my enthusiasm that, holy hell, this was intense, and supposedly, based on what I've heard from some manga readers that I know, it kind of seems like they did the adaptation justice, but then again, I am just an anime only. I really like that whole confrontation when you had Togata, Deku, and then Overhaul, and there was this kind of dilemma of what should you do, a crying girl, or do you go logical and say, we have to bide our time? And I wasn't expecting this, but the idea that not only is Deku full of rage and regret, Togata is also disappointed in himself, feeling as if, how could he call himself a hero that's gonna save millions if he couldn't even help a girl who was being ripped apart by her apparently father and is being turned into just something probably horrible, a test subject, something so horrifying that she was shaking in fear, wanting anyone to help her. That is amazing. That is the type of storytelling I crave, not just with like My Hero Academia, just stories in general. I love it anytime something can really rattle you where on a logical level you know, yeah, we did the right thing, but on an emotional level, you feel like an utter failure. I really wasn't expecting this, but the idea that pretty much everyone was circling around, kind of passing information, some have never heard of what's going on, and other people have had kind of clues here and there, and just watching that entire sequence unfold, watching Night Eye say there's no one more disappointed in themselves than Togata and Deku, as they are just so horrified, so pissed off. I can't even really imagine the amount of emotions that were going through them as they realized it didn't matter if the logical choice was to bide your time, not let him know that you're on to him being a big bad villain, but rather you should have said screw logic, took that girl, because what the hell is happening to her? It's getting even more crazy. And I wasn't expecting that because it definitely was being perceived, at least from the general public, even myself, and the characters overall, that when they backed off, that was the right choice. Granted, Deku wouldn't have backed off if Eri didn't willingly go back with Overhaul, but still, it kind of felt like that was the direction they were going. The All Might route was save everyone even if it costs you your own life, and the logical route, the Night Eye route, is bide your time. But now it's kind of all coming full circle. It's like, I don't think logic and emotion really are all that different anymore. It's kind of going hand in hand, and at this point, seeing what we've seen with this character and how twisted he is, this is why I love Overhaul. He is a utter bastard. That's what makes him so great. He has a badass character design, a deadly and badass ability, but you need something like this in a series, especially if you're going to be introducing a drug that is going to eliminate quirks. Now, supposedly it's temporarily, but I have my doubts that every character that gets hit with a dart is only going to get temporarily quirkless, right? I think it's definitely going to depend on like blood and things like that, the individual person. I'm sure it's not just going to be like everyone gets a day off of being a hero. I'm sure there's going to be some twisted shit. I mean, you don't introduce something like that just to say it's going to be a temporary vacation, right? This episode, it spiraled out of control despite being so mundane in a lot of ways. The direction was characters walking, be like, hey, you're going to your internship too? Yeah, me too. And hey, we're taking the same corners, to then, hey, even though you're still students, you are all official heroes at this point in time that you gotta be incorporated into this. You know, there's people like Eraserhead who'd want to keep kids out of this situation, but at this point that he knows, like, people like Deku, after seeing what he would consider a failure, there's no way that he's not going to pursue these people, and he'd rather let them be incorporated in a very just type situation rather than letting him go hero killer stain and doing whatever the hell he wants to do. It felt like the entire point of this episode was to really shatter the school mentality, because we've been focusing on characters becoming heroes. They're training at a school to become heroes, and this is the first time that they are truly fish out of water. I mean, they've had plenty of moments, don't get me wrong, where they've been incorporated with villains, but they were sitting at the big boy table, no longer the kiddie table. They were sitting around and everyone had their opinions. There was, you know, some obvious jokes and being like, oh, that's really cool, you guys did this, or look at how awesome Red Riot was. There's definitely some childish innocence there, and that rubs some of the heroes in the wrong way. Why are these kids here? They are not pro-heroes. And to just watch the direction for a good majority of this episode was very mundane, but that's not a bad thing. It was passing information off as if these are trained professionals. This is them handing out their reports of the month, right? Saying, we need to take the best hero or a hero who knows their section of the city well, pass the information along, and we gotta locate this bastard. We gotta save this child. And of course, you really think he's gonna let her just be at his home address? No, of course not. But it is still something that makes you feel like you know the end is near in a lot of ways. Like, not like the end of the series, but it feels like an endgame boss, and the series is still ongoing. So that really highlights just how strong the writing is for this arc. That the antagonist feels like you're not looking at just the antagonist of the arc. You're looking at someone who could be the big bad for the remainder of the story. Like, that's what's so great about what this arc is doing, is that we're looking at one of our students here, and we're feeling like, yeah, we got these powers, and typically you fight the villains and you do okay, but right now, this man can touch you and you're dead. You have a dart that could remove your abilities for either a day, if not longer, permanently. I don't know. This is absolutely terrifying, but then in the back of your mind, you remember, you can't run away. There is a little girl, and how many little girls and children and families are going to be horrified and beaten and bruised because of this monster? That's what makes this episode so goddamn thrilling. And the overall direction for when they really shook it up, really getting into Togata or Deku's mentality, making them just shake in rage, fear, distraught, realizing who they abandoned and who they abandoned him to. This isn't just a simple villain. This is a total monster that is ripping her apart, experimenting on her. Is this how he's making the drug? Is it all his blood? What the hell is he doing? There is a reason that this child was shaking so much. And both characters feel such utter regret. And when you watch after the credits, it's quite interesting to see how Eri is being treated. It's actually a lot different, and I have to give major props to Overhaul, not because he's a good person, he's an utter bastard, but he did go the logical route. This girl, who he clearly needs, has been running away and almost got help from heroes. If that happened, he would have been exposed. Yeah, you can keep beating her, or you can treat her like the horse chasing the carrot. Give her the carrot, here's your new keeper, buy her presents, make her happy, make it so she isn't afraid to leave. We tried the very physical and mental route. We can't do that again. He'll probably do that again because I don't think the presents are working, but at the same time, it does make you think he isn't just some mad lunatic with destructive powers and a really solid organization. He does understand that this is a child. Yes, this child probably doesn't mean anything to him, but at the same time, clearly he needs said child. So here's your new keeper. I'm gonna kill you if you don't do a good job, if she escapes, if she misbehaves, but maybe take a more compassionate route. I'm not gonna hug her, I'm not gonna love her, but give her some damn toys. It's interesting that they're letting... It's like such a manipulative thing, right? You beat her, you bruised her, you made her run for her life, and now you're giving her presents, and hell, she can have a unicorn if she wants, I imagine, right? But you know, the only thing she wants is the thing that shook her world so much. Why was there someone who touched me but didn't hurt me? I don't know what this emotion is, but Deku, obviously she doesn't know Deku's name, but this boy was so pleasant, and she probably has never known that emotion before. She probably doesn't even know that's compassion. She probably just thinks like, is this person gonna hurt me? But it's something that's keeping her up at night, and clearly is a lot different than her so-called new caretaker, whatever the hell you want to call this bastard, right? And just watching that, it felt like we were Deku and Togata wrapped up into one, just being shook, listening to everything play out, realizing you should have just grabbed that girl, you should have ran, because even though it doesn't go for the logic, that's what should have happened. And I think both these characters realize that if this happens again, we can't wait, we can't be logical, we need to just save the person who needs to be saved. And I mean, yes, obviously that has risks, obviously that isn't going to be the logical route, but there's a difference between the Night Eye and All Might mentality. Someone like Deku is All Might, successor, 100%. He emotionally matches him, where Night Eye isn't All Might. He never has been. He has a lot more logical route. He's terrified to look into people's future because when he's done that, he looked into his best friend's life, realizing that he is going to die, and he doesn't want to go through that again. That's why he is so like, this is my last resort. I will not use my quirk final battle or something like that. It's obviously going to piss some heroes off, being like, well, you have the ability, even a day could save our life, but he is terrified of that. Those are the little moments that really shape the My Hero Academia cast into such a living and breathing set of characters. Feeling as if they actually have vulnerabilities, that they're not just these heroes who will get by and always be able to smile. Yeah, you'll have characters like Fat Gum or whatever his name is, who is a very cheerful soul. Hell, he'll probably give you a hug even if you say no. He had a moment in this episode where he offered the girls candy. I was like, that's so creepy if it was any other character, but this guy is so lovable that you don't even raise an eyebrow to it. There's obviously that pleasantries throughout the episode, but this episode, despite certain sections being very dark with its visuals, was actually pretty depressing in subject matter, but that's why I love it. I can understand why this is a lot of My Hero Academia's fans' favorite arc. It feels like the end, but also the beginning, all wrapped up into one. You know the antagonist and that entire group is so thrilling, so well developed, but our main casts are having to be explored and opened up in such a way that we've never seen. And we've seen some messed up stuff with Hero Killer or just any of the main villains who have really rocked the worlds of both pro and students learning to become heroes. This episode was incredible, and sure, maybe it won't be everyone's cup of tea. It was exposition, it was a lot of info, but it was thrilling. It was emotional because it made us feel like we were Deku, we were Togata, we were realizing what we abandoned. We already realized what we abandoned, and she was going back to a very brutal household, or test chamber as now we can call it. However, the logic in us made us say, there was no right or wrong. There was an emotional right and there was a logical right, and there was an emotional wrong and a logical wrong. Who cares? Don't even think about the fundamentals here. It was a girl crying and we realized what that girl is having done to her. Never again. That's the type of emotion you want from a superhero show, right? You want it to have really good writing, but it also wants to make you feel like a hero who you inspire the confidence of the people that no matter what, even if logic says you will die 100%, that little girl will get out alive. That's what I love about this episode, and really am loving about this season of My Hero Academia. It's this battle of logic versus emotional, but when you sit around a table and you hear about what could be happening to her and you start letting your imagination fill in the gaps, logic doesn't matter too much anymore, am I right? Amazing episode. What did everyone think? I imagine there's going to be a lot of happy manga readers, but I'll be interested for maybe people who aren't usually into these types of episodes for maybe a lot of dialogue heavy. Did you find this episode just as thrilling as myself, or was it a bit of a letdown? Whatever you're feeling, do let me know down in the comment section below. And if you did enjoy this video, be sure to drop a like. And remember to hit that subscribe button if you have any new. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.